Hi, this is Paul from Model Builder International, and today we're going to go through a new release from Platz, a Su-27SM Flanker B, which is the single seat version. This is 1/72nd scale. As you can see, it's done with Zvezda. They've basically used their kit, which, from what I'm reading, is a pretty good kit anyway in its own right. And they've just basically added some bits to it as well. Being Platz, they've done a few upgrades. So, good box top, a sturdy box. A couple of pictures of decal options on the side there. So let's see what's on this side. A couple of photographs. What they do have here on the bottom, remember their Heinkel 219. Which they did in cooperation with Dragon Plastic. They've also done the same here. It's basically a template to make sure everything lines up, hold things in the right place. Jig, that's what the word I'm looking for. Basically, they've given you a jig to hold everything while you're building. And it's also, if I take the top off the box, before I just dive in, you'll see there's on this side, there's also part of a jig on there as well. So there's quite a few bits and pieces there with the box. It's not going to last long. You're going to basically cut the box up to make a jig. So what they've also done, and I'm just adding these in here, but I'll cover them in another video. They've also released interior PE set, masks, and exterior PE set. So just watch a video. I'll cover these three in a separate video and just show you exactly what's covered, what's in there, what's upgraded. So what have we got? We've got one bag with the sprues in it. We have a decal sheet and two sheets of paper, the box, two glossy sheets of paper. So what I'll do is I'll quickly open everything and come back. Okay, so we're back again. We've got everything out the bags. So let's go through the plastic parts first. First, inside that plastic bag was another smaller plastic bag containing the clear parts, which look pretty good. They're nice and clear, no crazy distortion. They're thin. Good idea to put them inside a bag. Look like maybe they just might need a bit of a polish. Good to see with just my glasses on, but they look good. Two figures, one standing pilot with a small hexagonal base, one pilot seated with a separate, one right arm is separate and upper and lower body is separate. They look nicely detailed. So look at some photos and see exactly what they look like. Then we'll go through the sprues. The first one here looks like mostly missiles. One set of burner cans, the left part of the engine. In fact, there's two of these identical sprues, or two of these sprues. Let's look here. The attachment points look nice and small. Engine looks nice. Afterburner looks nice. Can't see any extractor pin marks in awkward places. Two-part main wheel there as well. Engine intake turbine. So those look nice. As you can see, there's a tailplane, engine intakes. See, there's some nice recessed detail on here. Again, small attachment points again. Top of the fuselage, cockpit tub. See some nice raised detail on there. Panel lines. Nice, quite small, fine recessed panel lines there. Ejector pin marks. all out the way where they'll never see the light of day again once the kit is built. So that's good. This one, nose cone. Nice idea to put it at an angle like that. Seems to be a common thing that they fall off easily, but this one's still attached, which is nice. Some fine parts here. There's a boarding ladder. Not quite sure what that bit is. See later. Landing gear. A couple more finely, some fine panel lines on the tailplanes. So again, small attachment points. No ejector pin marks in awkward places. This is obviously the main part of the bottom half of the fuselage. It's got nice panel lines, very fine recessed panel lines. Looks like a nice kit. There's nothing. They're just subtle panel lines that'll show up nicely with a wash, but they're not so big as to look like trenches and look like black lines when you put some wash in them. So this looks good. And the biggest sprue, we've got there's some nice detail on there. Basically the wings, top and bottom, ejector pin marks on the inside of the wings where nobody will ever see them. Same here. So yeah, the attachment points are nice and small, nothing too crazy. So looking at the plastic, it looks like I can see why people, at least looking at parts in the box, the parts are very nicely detailed, fine details, nothing, it's all quite subtle work. So that should go, and some fine, nice small parts in there, so that should work quite well. Decal sheet. This is obviously a Platz decal sheet. I'm thinking it looks very similar to their other decal sheets where they don't scrimp on the markings that go on their aircraft. If it's on the real aircraft, they have it on here. They don't cut corners. That's why there's so many of them here. It's not good. I've played with their decals before, and they're very nice. They react well to everything. So that's good. Let's have a look at these two sheets. So we've got the first sheet. This one is basically the build instructions. A lot of it's Japanese, but the diagrams will show you. Here's the jigs, showing you how to put the jig together so it'll hold everything in place, make sure everything lines up. Colours on the other sheet, I'll come to those in a second, but everything's colour labelled in here. In fact, I'll quickly scan this. Let's do this side. Basically, you build it with this one. And the weapons, it doesn't actually say what they are here. So that sheet, and then we have this sheet. There's the colour sheet. Basically painting guide. We've got two options. It's like the undercarriage or the air brake is shown open, but obviously it can be put closed. Same with the undercarriage, that's a normal thing. And decal guide. All the missiles are labelled here. Sprue charts. So I'll scan these, and next we'll go through the instructions and have a quick look at some close-up details of some of the parts involved. But so far, so good. It looks like a very nice little kit. We'll start off by going through the instructions for building the kit. So you can see start of the first page, top bits are in Japanese, but probably looks like the usual safety instructions. Then we come down to the jig. I notice here you can use it for displaying, for building, and also with some elastic bands you can use it as a jig to hold the finished model for transport. So down to the first two steps are in the cockpit as usual. So look at the cockpit itself. There's no detail in here. The detail is done with decals. And now look at the seat, and there's the seat itself, and then another 5 parts go on to that. Then you can add the seated pilot at this point as well if you wish. Doesn't look like there's any seat belts anywhere, so you'll have to replicate those for yourself. And now over the page, and we'll start with the top with step 3, which is basically putting all the big parts together. Key point, as pointed out here, if you're going to hang things off the bottom of the wings, you need to drill holes at this stage. Other than that, it's putting the nose undercarriage bay in place, and then just putting the big parts together. If you have a look at some of these parts, there's some nice detail on here, nice recessed panel lines. Moving down to step 4, and we're adding the tail planes and some other parts of the wings. I notice the air brake can be fitted closed at this point, but you also have the option later to fit it open. There's no mention I see of nose weight in here, but it might be prudent to stick some weight in that nice big empty nose cone. Now to the right is step 5, add some small details around the cockpit, add the front part of the cockpit canopy, the head-up display, and parts D14, D13 there, what make this particular, this flank of the model of it is the Su-27SM. That's the telltale part that identifies this type of Sukhoi 27. Then down at the bottom, we're building the engine intakes. We've got a fan detail at the back. Again, nice recessed details on here. And if we're building it with the undercarriage up, the complete undercarriage doors are supplied, so you can fit them at this stage. And now onto the next page, and we start off by making 2 afterburners at the back end of the engine. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts go together. Also, I'll mention let's have a close look at one of those. You can see there's pretty good detail for plastic. Obviously, photo etch would be better, but for plastic, it's not too bad. And I just say all the colours are called out in these instructions. As you can see here, the F and the G, those are colour references that we'll get to when we get to the colour chart. So colours are actually called out. Move to step 8, which is the undercarriage legs and undercarriage doors. They're nicely detailed for plastic. You can probably add a few more little pieces of wire and things to them to make them look better. The wheels come in 2 parts, the main wheels. Quite a few bits of detail going on here. There's some clear parts going on here as well. Probably obviously add those later. Hinges to the undercarriage doors. And there's a bit of detail inside, looks like the nose door as well. So those are pretty good. Next, step 9 is, you can do this at any stage actually, is putting missiles and pylons together if you want to hang some underneath the wings. I'll talk a bit more about those, what they are exactly, what your options are when we get to the colour charts. Step 10, putting together the boarding ladder. The standing pilot figure looks quite nice with the little stand for it. So basically you've got 2 options, either a pilot in the cockpit or a pilot stood outside the cockpit. And then putting together some other parts, they look like chocks for the wheels. So it looks like these are little extras that Platz has added in. And then down there's something here, it says step 11, and then it says something in Japanese, so I don't know what that is. But let's get on to step 12 and see if we can work out what 11 was as we go along. Step 11 is fitting the undercarriage you made earlier on the page, fitting the engine exhausts. Again, basically putting the bits you've made on this page is fitting them to the aircraft. Over the page again, and step 13 is hanging all the ordnance off the bottom of the aircraft. yeah, and you'll have your own preferences about when you actually want to do that. And at the bottom here, step 14 is putting the canopy on and basically adding some small parts. But basically, yeah, it's and then we're finished. So let's have a look at the colour charts. So this is quite a big piece of paper. I took a photograph of it as one, but also scanned it as two parts. If you go to the website, you'll see there's about 40 or 50 photographs of various parts. The part photographs you can see in this video are also there, but they're full size, but they'll be bigger. So coming down this, there's two options. Mostly the same, should we say, the same camouflage scheme, but slightly different colours, if that makes sense. You get part views of the tails, the sort of outside and the inside, and they do differ for the two versions. But it's nicely laid out. It's big, quite a big view of the top of the aircraft, so you can get the outlines of the different colours worked out nicely. In fact, this is a very nice colour layout chart to get things right. At the bottom, the colours looks like they're called out in mist colour. They're not actually named. I've seen those numbers before as well. And also the letters, it can be like the underneath, the blue for the underside is made up of colour 40% colour M and 40% colour A. Like I think it might be nicely used to use, say, numbers for this or something, because there's so many letters floating around with the colours, you'll have to sort of slow down a little and think when you're actually working out which colour is which. But for that, oh yeah, the colours are Mr. Colour and Model Master. Those are the two colours, or the two manufacturers used. But like I said, just take your time with working out which colour is which, because it does look a little confusing down there. And then on the other side of the colour chart is one page, as you can see, where all the small decals and the placards and so on are identified where they go. It's one thing about Platz, they always include basically every single little decal that's somewhere on the aircraft. It'll be on their decal sheet. So have a quick look at the decal sheet and you can see what I mean. There's a lot in here. And they're quite nice, as you can see, as we'll zoom in here and just see what the level of detail is like. So underneath where all the small decals go, there's a layout of the missiles. There's R-73s, R-77s, R-27Rs, R-27ETs, KH-31s, and in three different pylons as well. And it identifies there's decals going on the pylons as well. And then the last page is the sprue layout. Looks like pretty much every part is used on this. So overall, it's this kit seems to be quite well known. Originally, obviously done by Zvezda. It's been reboxed by Academy and Revell. So it can't be that bad, and looking at it, it's a very finely recessed panel lines, nice details. It's a good base, shall I say. Photo etch will definitely improve this. The cockpit is just crying out for some photo etch rather than the decals, and some of the smaller parts might be nice. They're like the outside fins and things like that. Aerials will be better in photo etch. But it looks like a very nice model. Should go together quite nicely. A pretty quick build. There's not that many parts to this. I'll count them up and put them on the website. So, yeah, if more photographs, go see the website. I'll put all the photographs up there. Like I said, there should be 50 or more photographs I'll be putting up there, and they will be full size, so you can see full detail. And there'll be more photographs than you see in this video. And don't forget to subscribe to our video channel if you want to see more. And finally, many thanks to Platz for sending along the kit for review.